Hello again, poetry lovers. It's time for us to tackle another Blake poem. This time, the Tyger from Songs of Experience. And this is, without question, the most stark contrast to a poem in the Songs of Experience collection. And, I'm probably going to ask you this question. It's going to be a fill in the blank. I'm not going to make it easy on you and give you this as multiple choice. So the companion piece, of course, is the lamb, right? All right, good. Okay, so you can see that your beloved teacher has made a drawing here, it looks like. You should probably be able to tell what that thing is, even though I'm not a great artist. It's not bad. It looks kind of like a tiger, doesn't it? It's supposed to. And I'll tell you why here in a second. All right, so let's go ahead and read this thing, The Tyger by William Blake. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? All right, so let's take a look at some of the elements here in this poem. And let's see, why don't we start, as we always start, with our rhyme scheme. So we've got bright is an A, night is an A, I is a B, and symmetry, got slant B there. Yeah. Okay. Skies, well, skies and eyes and I, these all seem to be slant off of I. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a slant B. Slant B, slant B. Aspire, C, C. Now if you want to go ahead and say, all right, well, once again Blake has decided to play with the quatrain, then you might say, well, it looks like something like rhymed couplets, right? So if we ignore what you've got above, and we say, all right, well, if it's rhymed couplets is what's comprising the quatrains, then we're going to go with A, B, B, art and heart, A, beat and feet, B, B, chain, brain, grasp, clasp, don't want that kitaboshi to run away. Spears, tears, see, thee. And now we go back up to the beginning again with the A, B, and slant B. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to argue that this particular poem is an example of Blake using the pure syllabic verse system, and you'll see why I'm making this claim in a moment. So when we take a look at the number of syllables, I'm going to count syllables first, then I'm going to go back in and look at meter. Okay, so we've got then Tyger, Tyger, burning bright, 7, in the forest of the night, 7, what immortal hand or eye, 7, could frame thy fearful symmetry, and 8. Okay. In what distant deeps or skies, 7, Burnt the fire of thine eyes. 7. On what wings dare he aspire? 7. What the hand dare seize the fire? 7. Now look, I'm scanning this, by the way. Burnt the fire, I'm giving that 2 beats. Okay? But here I'm giving it 1 beat because I'm convinced that he meant to go with roughly 7 beats per line, although he varies from that a little bit, as you're going to see in the next stanza, and then we're going to ask the question why. And what shoulder and what art? 7. Could twist the sinews of thy heart. 8 beats. Could twist. So it starts with a spondee, and you're going to see the spondees are going to make an appearance more and more over the course of this poem. And you may ask yourself the question, well, heck, if what we care about is if this is pure syllabic, then why are we even bothering to look at the stressed or unstressed syllables? Well, sometimes the poet will work in combination, and we will. I'll talk about why that happens. Okay, so what the hammer, what the chain. 7. In what furnace was thy brain? 7. What the anvil, what dread grasp? 7. Dare its deadly terrors clasp? 7. Slip over here. When the stars threw down their spears? 7. And watered heaven with their tears. I'm going to mark this because that's just a jacked up line, and it's also 8 beats. Did he smile his work to see? Did he smile his work to see? So once again, we've got here, look at the syntax. Syntax is inverted in that line. Did he who made the lamb make thee? Again, you've got here, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Even though the syntax is not particularly discordant, the meter is. Okay, so we're going to make a little note there about the meter. Okay, and this is an 8-beat line. Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What a mortal hand or eye? Dare. Well, that's a change from the first stanza when it's could frame thy fearful symmetry, and so here is an 8-beat line. Without really spending a whole heck of a lot of time on scanning this guy, let's take a look at the Tyger for a second. So the idea here, Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night. What if, unstressed, mortal hand or eye? You might argue that that's a stressed syllable, right? Hand or eye. You might even give it a double stress there. Could frame thy fearful symmetry. Symmetry then is what kind of foot? That's right, it's a dactyl. Now watch how the stressed syllables just start making an appearance when they just start flooding in. In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? Again, picking up in intensity, okay? With the exception of this this one line here with that dactyl, everything else rising meter, yes, and just it's emphatic. I mean, it's like pounding the table. And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? Look at all those spondees. And picking up intensity again. What the hammer? What the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the, unstressed, anvil? What dread grasp? Dare its deadly terror's clasp. Boom. Look at all that. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? And then the payoff question, did he who made the Lamb make thee? Wow, nature of God, right? Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night. You know what? Here's what. Now I'm leaving it unstressed because it starts to soften a little bit. What immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Okay? All right. Now, why do I have that top view of a tiger? Because you're probably asking yourself the question, if you have a curious bone in your body, what's he talking about? Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night. Okay, so we know that that tigers are ambush hunters, and this, despite the fact that we might not think that sort of orange and black and white would be particularly good in to keep an animal hidden, but if you think about the sun coming down from above, and the way that it plays in the shadows and so forth, pretty darn good camo. All right. So, in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? So, what kind of symmetry are we talking about? Well, of course, if we are looking at the tiger from above, like God would, okay, then we have all this sort of the symmetry of, of the stripes, right? And how they run down the back of the tiger. And not perfectly symmetric if you look at an actual tiger. But so these things may be coming down here like that, right? All right, so you get the idea, I assume. Okay, so this is the sort of this is the symmetry we're talking about. It's the stripes that go down from the middle of the tiger's back. Yeah. Okay. Now, in what distant deeps or skies? So notice the contrast. There's a ton of contrast in the poem. There's great contrast in the tiger itself, despite the symmetry. And again, this is one of those marvelous, sort of cosmic ironies. The paradox, I suppose, if you want to look at it from a figurative language standpoint, of the tiger and the God that made the tiger and that made the lamb. Okay, so look at the huge contrast. Okay, hand or eye. That would be an example of what? Synecdoche. Could frame thy fearful symmetry. Frame as in to on one hand to conceive of it, but also to sort of keep it in to keep it bounded. Okay, in terms of imagination. So in what distant, so notice we've got the distance, so way out, away from us, and then we've got the deeps, so the bottom of the ocean, and the skies. Look how rapidly we have that contrast. Burnt the fire of thine eyes. So without question, that's that's a paradox of sorts, because there's no actual fire in the eyeball. I mean, the eyeball is largely liquid, yes. So okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I got a phone call there, and now I have absolutely no idea where I was, but I'll figure it out. Okay, so I think it was probably the we're talking about the preponderance of stressed syllables. Okay, so the framing of the symmetry. Again, this is the view of the tiger from above. Oh, look, the tiger suddenly all of his stripes came in. Okay, so look at. So we haven't talked about this so much in the other the videos, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now, and that is take a look at some of the acoustic devices, right? So here we have the cacophonous deeps. In what deep, distant deeps or skies? Burnt the fire of thine eyes. So look, I in fire, the assonance of fire, thine eyes. On what wings? What wings dare he aspire? So all these long, the long syllables, the long E's, the long I's, all these sorts of things, right? Tyger, tiger. These are all cacophonous, discordant sounds that are in perfect keeping with the ambitions of the poem, which is to talk about, it's, in a sense, it's the nature of God, okay? And so as you mark some of those acoustic devices, and what shoulder and what art, this repetition here, and what, you know this to be anaphora. Anaphora, then, the repetition of a word or a combination of words at the beginnings of successive phrases, clauses, sentences. Okay, and again, the effect of it is the effect of any figure of repetition is emphasis. Okay, so here, and what, okay, could twist the sinews of thy heart. This is what figurative device? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? Here, he's using the word dread, which means like extreme uneasiness in the face of something disagreeable. Normally, you'd think of seeing this if it were properly, or I should say conventionally used, it'd be like either dreaded or dreadful. But dread, it accentuates the double D in that word, okay, and makes it punchier and more cacophonous, okay. What dread hand, what dread feet? So notice once again, we've got the anaphora. All right. Don't be surprised if I ask you about that. What the hammer, what the chain? Once again, look at that anaphora. Okay? In what furnace was thy brain? As in what kind of, in what furnace was a brain like this forged? Okay, so you can't escape the idea here that, God, the benevolent, who has created this thing, and look at all the images of hell that we have. Okay, it should be inescapable in your minds that there is all these images related to to hell, to furnace, to heat, to there's a blacksmith somewhere in the vicinity, right? The blacksmith takes raw material, heats it up super hot, and then reforms it into something else. And so look at all the black imagery that you've got relative to the implied color of the tiger and all these sorts of things, right? Hammer, chain, furnace, anvil. So this is not God creating in the way that is taking clay, molding clay into something that is living and that God breathes into it. This is God forging something hard out of something that is hot. Look at all the violence in the imagery here. Okay? So again, this is not God sculpting clay. This is God hammering stuff, forging stuff out of fire and so forth. Yes? I hope you're seeing it that way, because that's the way it is. Okay. All right, let's get down here to some of this. When the stars threw down their spears, now I'm going to and watered heaven with their tears. Okay. Now look, I'm going to show you something. The note says this: throw down is ambiguous and may signify that the stars either surrendered or hurled down their spears. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, I'm going to show you what it means. Okay, it's this. Any depiction that you normally see, like especially at Christmas time, like the the Star of Bethlehem, what does it look like? It looks like this. Here I am relying on my drawing ability again, right? I mean, see that? Looks like a friggin' spear. So it's the beams of light that are coming down toward Earth. All right, now, when the stars threw down their spears, I mean, this is personification, yes? The stars are being personified because, critters like, chimpanzees or whatever, they don't carry weaponry. They might use tools. They might throw rocks at each other, this kind of thing, but that's taking it too far. This is personifying the stars. Okay, it's throwing down their light. So spears are then synonymous with light. And watered heaven with their tears. Did he smile his work to see? Maybe was God pleased with this? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Now, okay. You know that the overarching figurative device in this poem is what? The speaker is addressing what? Tyger. So, apostrophe. Apostrophe is making an appearance here. I'm going to ask you that question. So people that aren't watching the videos are, I don't know what to say. They're screwing up. How about that? Tyger, Tyger. Okay, so we have the T's. Tyger, Tiger, long I. Burning, bright, in the forest of the night. Again, all those, all that assonance. What immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Okay, so this is shifted from could frame, as in could conceive of. This dare frame thy fearful symmetry. So. In this ending here, all these rhetorical questions that make an appearance. This is the speaker in a sense asking the same question that a lot of people right now might be asking about this pandemic and all that, and you might be asking about having to stay in the crib. Is why? Why, God? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to the world? Okay, so all these questions, it's like questioning God. And this is exactly what the speaker, what Blake is doing through his speaker. So this idea of dare frame thy fearful symmetry is this: even God cannot control the thing He made. I mean, this is implicit in that last question. Can even God control the thing He made? Which now drops us into I assume most of you are familiar with the Christian concept of free will, that people talk about. God's got a plan for you, and knew from before you were born what the shape of your life was going to look like, and so forth. However, God gives you free will. It's not like everything you do is mechanized and you don't have any control over it. He gives you free will, and yet this is saying something about free will, isn't it? About control. Do any of us actually have control over anything, or is it better to, and I don't mean surrender as in to throw your hands up and lay there and let the buzzards come and peck you apart, but it's more like when you try to control things, you just end up frustrating yourself. And I think this is part of the project of this poem, is that as Blake questions the nature of God in the universe and the nature of man, he's using the Tyger then and this discussion, although it's sort of like a shouting match, as a vehicle for having that conversation. Okay, so hope this helps, and I'll see you soon.